Hey Maria, I'm back with another video. It's like almost 1:15 p.m. and it is December 17th, and I just got home and I couldn't wait to get coffee today. There was a while where I stopped drinking coffee, and then now I kind of picking it back up now. And I look forward to it when I have it, but I won't be doing this for the entire year just because it's the cold season. And I've always had like hot chocolate, coffee during autumn or winter season. It's just something seasonal with me, I guess. So in the spring, I will probably tamper off the coffee. So I was watching, I get really bored. And sometimes I don't actually watch television. I more just kind of have it as background noise. But I still feel like the topic has to be somewhat interesting. It's just background noise. But if I do, catch what they're saying, it's nice to have something to follow along with. But I'm not like necessarily sitting in front of the TV or whatever. And anyway, they were showing these like shocking stories or shocking photos, right? I don't know why I thought this was funny in the back of my mind, but there was this person who appeared on the Newlywed Game back in like the 1970s, and he turned out to be like a convicted murderer and rapist, and he had like all these felony charges against him. And I kept thinking, I don't know why I thought this was funny, but it's like, I'm pretty sure that if there are reruns being shown, that they probably skip that one, I wonder, do they get like mail or people ever inquire, well, whatever happened to this particular episode? Is there somebody keeping track as to what happened to that episode? I just, for whatever reason, I thought that was hilariously funny. But then again, my humor has always been kind of weird anyway. But so I was thinking, what was I thinking? I wanted to share my thoughts. I had a bunch of different thoughts today. And I was kind of thinking about how, it's kind of sad that, when you make life decisions, how other people want you to kind of go along with what they think you should be doing. And I think a lot of people, think, every woman is supposed to be married. And I don't, or be in a relationship or whatever, and I'm not the kind of person that likes to feel like, especially when you're being, blocked and persecuted and being harassed over issues that really, I shouldn't have to explain it to anybody because it's really nobody's business, but some people might think, well, you're just saying that because you've experienced negative things in the past or whatever. I would say that that's part of it, but it's not just me, okay? I know there's a lot of crap relationships out there, and I'm not saying that there's not any good ones, okay? But, I have these really high standards, okay? And maybe my standards might be based on, fairy tales, or maybe they might be based on, over romantic ideas that I developed when I was a kid. But if that's the kind of standard a person has, then nothing else in their mind is going to be okay for them, And I know that certain ideas or certain relationships work for other people. They bring in a lot of different things into their marriage. They have arguments. Some men want to go out and have like what do you call it? Polygamous relationships and whatever, okay? But none of that stuff would be good for me, okay? And I'm not the kind of person that would sit there and enjoy my husband looking at porn. And I certainly don't want to have issues with, in-laws. Somebody's bitching about this. They don't like what I'm doing now. And blah. I don't want the drama, okay? And so when I think of, my personal space, my personal freedom, my personal happiness, I can do without marriage. I can do without it. And, I think, but that's not to say that I don't want to deal without people. It's what I'm saying is, I would enjoy, platonic relationships, friendships, people having friends, knowing people, talking, socializing, but I don't have any desire to. And some people will think, well, aren't you lonely? Yeah, everyone's lonely. Okay, I'm isolated in my situation, right? But it's more like you just want to be, mingling and talking to other people. It's not, I don't want to get married. Okay, I don't have any interest in it. And yeah, I was interested in getting to know the cute guy. I figured if somebody was manipulating my employment, okay, not to say that there's any right justification for anything like that, but if you're manipulating employment, maybe you are interested in being with me for it makes sense, right? I wouldn't sit here and manipulate someone's employment just out of the blue or whatever, unless of course there was some sort of life growth expectancy or something like that along those lines. Let me get my coffee. Hang on a second. Don't want it to get cold. So I kept thinking, okay, I've always thought he was cute, and I thought he was great, when I was growing up. But I can't think of, all I care about in my life is protecting myself from abuse. That's it. I don't care about, raising a family. I don't care about any of that. I don't. I had one child, and I'm very grateful that I did. And I think my son contributed a lot in my life, on so many levels, because, I was pretty busy-minded as a kid. And what I mean by that, I was kind of scattered because based on the abuse that I had from my family and, people not understanding me and whatever. So I would say that my son, having my child, turned my life around a lot, because like, okay, whatever's going on, I need to figure out a way to get out of this situation. And it helped me focus. The whole situation helped me focus, okay? Sometimes, order comes out of chaos, I guess you could say. Or some things will say, well, that's a bad situation. Sometimes there are good things come out of a bad situation, and it's actually quite beautiful. But as far as, especially, I think, gosh, I'm so old. I don't think of myself as old. I don't. I mean, but when I think of myself in terms of, the marriage thing, and because when I think of people getting married, I think they have they should be getting married for a purpose, okay? And like I said, some people, they want to get married because they want to produce, I don't know, great offspring. They want offspring, of course. But I think people have kids, they should have their offspring have some sort of goal in mind. Like, what do you want this kid to do? What do you want them to? To me, I look for reasons for everything. And in my life, I don't see any point. I can't really even have any kids anymore at this point. Anyway, I'm too old. Okay, could you imagine me busting out a kid like close to 50, and by the time the kid's graduating, I'm just like in a wheelchair or something? That's absurd. That's absurd. All I care about is what stimulates my mind and things that I enjoy, and taking care of myself. Some people think, well, why they can't understand it. Like, well, why don't you? Why don't you? I don't want drama in my life. I've had too much drama. Okay, imagine a kid, being bullied by their own family, being misunderstood by their family, and then as well as being misunderstood by their peers. And then you're introducing bullshit into your house, okay? Because sooner or later, I've grown into a person where I'm comfortable with who I am. I like my little stuffed animals. I like my little girly stuff. I like my flower prints, my polka dots, my, whatever, my pink girly stuff. And I really like being a woman. Being a woman is so awesome. If reincarnation's true, then sign me up again every single lifetime to be a woman. I love being a woman, okay? But I've become accustomed to not having male energy in my home. And what I mean by that is, the NASCAR, the sports games, the fixing cars. And there's nothing wrong with those things. They're not, okay? But it's just not something I care about. I don't. Yes, I think some men are good looking. Of course, there's plenty of good looking men in the world, but sometimes, that's not always what makes a relationship and something that's enjoyable, so I guess maybe I have a different viewpoint on things because I grew up in the situation that I did. And now that I've been in that situation, I do everything I can not to be in those situations. I don't want to be in any sort of relationship where, the mother-in-law thinks that she's got some sort of say over me. Hell no. Especially at the age I'm in now. Okay, don't you dare try to impose your shit on me. Okay, and there will be some kind of confrontation if something was like that to happen. Okay, and it's not me being disrespectful. It's just that, you know what, I would not agree or consent to be in a family structure that I'm going to be abused. Okay, and I sure as hell wouldn't be with somebody who lets their mother walk all over my ass, and then I would have no respect for that person. Forget that. So I understand all the drama that goes on, in a lot of people's relationships and their families and stuff. And there are good families out there, okay, or at least they appear to be good families, because boy, I sure have learned my lesson, I'll tell you. Anyway, but there's some people out there, okay? I'm not saying they're the Cosby Show. I'm not saying they're the Brady Bunch. I'm just saying is there are good families out there that, raise children. They marry people based on their likes, interests. Some people marry based on their religion. Some people base it all on race or whatever their ideal mate is, okay? They marry those people. They want children. They have focus and direction for those kids from the minute they get pregnant, okay? They're like, well, I want this kid. They may not, plan every little detail of the kid's life, okay? But they know that they're going to be able to provide a good, nurturing environment. They're going to help enhance their intellectual abilities, their physical abilities, their social abilities, everything in every level to produce a well-rounded individual. There are certain people out there who are like that, and that's good, okay? But there's a lot of people out there that are just like, woohoo, they get married because they fell in love with somebody because they were cute, which I understand that, okay, that lures you in. But then they just kind of ignore everything, and then they start realizing that the very thing that they thought was so cute is goddamn annoying, and then now they hate that person. And then they produce their offspring, and they gotta look at that shit every day. It's like, I'm sorry. But life is on this earth is hell, okay? It is hell, I'm telling you. If you don't have an abusive family, you don't got, people who are nosy and getting in your business, and then you get married, and then you got more people just messing your crap up, okay? So why, if you have the ability to avoid that, then avoid it, okay? And I have to say that I enjoy being by myself. I do. I do. I do get lonely, I keep thinking, I'll be strolling down the grocery store sometime, and I'm like, it'd be so cool just to have a few girls over and just talk about stuff. We can have this, like, cake. I'm looking at a cake at the grocery store. I'm like, I can slice up some cake, talk about stuff, And because I do remember, having those sort of interactions, and they were wonderful. I remember there were sometimes, I have these girls over at my house, and they would stay there for like hours, and it was nice, the talking, and we would talk about really interesting stuff, But, yeah, and it's not something that I second guess myself with. It's not like I sit there and think. And I'm the kind of person, if I desired a relationship, especially if something that I felt was essential to my well-being, I would just come right out and say it. I need someone. I need someone really bad. I would be the first person to go out and say it. As a matter of fact, I would get out there and I would go out and find someone. That's what I would do. If I really wanted to be in a relationship, I would do that. But I don't. I sit here and flip through the channels, looking at YouTube, turning on some music, clipping my toenails. People just have to respect other people. They may not understand it. And it seems not untraditional, non-traditional to a lot of people. It's not that I don't have respect for people who have a structured tradition or lifestyle or anything. I don't have an issue with that, okay? But there are some people who have exceptions. There are exceptions to just about every rule. Some people understand what they're getting into, and they are making a conscious decision not to. It's not just because I think that marriages should stop or having children should stop or anything like that, okay? But I do think the world is a piece of shit right now, and I do think that there's, people should understand that, it's not easy, living on this earth right now, and it certainly isn't easy bringing up offspring, okay? Because we got a lot of issues going on in the school system, violence, or just people, just schools not being able to live up to what they're supposed to be doing, those kind of things, So that's an issue, okay? And then you got shit like gang stalking where, like, people could just wipe out your resources because they feel like it. That kind of stuff, right? So why, but that's going to continue on, okay? In order for people to this earth to continue to thrive, we have to populate the earth, okay? But there's always been those women who have lived on their own, whether they were, spinsters from the get-go, or they were, widowed or whatever, and they just continue to live their life, and it's not tragic. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I think the first thing that comes to people's mind is like, well, gosh, Marie, you take good care of yourself. Well, why don't you go out there? I don't, they don't understand. Some people need to, well, I think what people need to understand is just because somebody takes care of themselves and they dress nice. Some people like clothes. I mean, I love clothes since I was a kid, okay? And I would look at, certain stars, movie stars, and their clothes, and, certain TV shows. I'll watch old footage, not just because it's nostalgic, which it is for me a lot of times, but sometimes I'm just like digging on their clothes, So it's not really about that. And then also there's the issue of being, like I mentioned before, being provocative in dress. Some women are out to get a man or a woman or anything that they can do or get in their possession to satisfy their urges. I've seen those kind of people. And, they'll wear like, top, their shirts real low, they're showing their cleavage. They have not just a mini skirt, I'm talking micro mini skirt, talking where you can't really bend down and pick anything up because you're going to show your panties and whatever. And I've seen that kind of dress. That's completely different. I think I'm very professional, especially when I go to job interviews. And, what I wear clothes, mostly jeans lately because it's cold. But, I wear a dress or something, but I think it's modest. It's modest in the appearance, meaning it's not revealing or anything. As a matter of fact, I've bought some blouses for work. Some of the nicer blouses that you wear in a nice office, okay? Not like in a trailer, but like, in an office where the dress or the, not necessarily a dress code, but still you can tell that it would be looking bad if you walked in there with just like a t-shirt that's ripped up or something. So I bought some nicer blouses in my closet. And, they look really nice, but they might be too low cut. I have always put a safety pin in that. If I didn't actually sew it up myself, there's a few of my blouses that I have a safety pin in because I feel like they're too low cut. So I believe that I dress modestly, okay? But, so you get a lot of people who think, well, they always say, oh, you're nice looking and you should be this. No, I don't believe that. People don't take care of themselves just to find marriage mates, partners, whatever. I think there's two different ways of dressing. There's one that's very provocative. There's one that's very obvious. There's one that says, come and get me. And there's one that says, hey, I'm a presentable person, and I'm, feeling vibrant and I'm ready to talk to people and be social and be myself, be comfortable and like the person that I am. And that's pretty much what that is. And I think, don't get it mixed up. Don't get it twisted up, okay? So, yeah. And I know people think, well, don't you think about romance? I think of romance very rarely, okay? Like, I thought the cute guy was just, like, the greatest thing. But what I'm saying is that, I would watch, oh, geez, I don't know. I don't watch romantic movies. As a matter of fact, I've always bashed romance novels or whatever. But I'll see a scene in a movie where, there's an old couple and they're like, looking at each other over the table. And I know it's TV, okay? It's television. It's always ideal. They make it that way. And boy, is it, right? They got this husband who loves his wife and only has eyes for her and blah, 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 blah. And he'd cross mountains for her and all this other crap, right? So, yeah, that tugs on your heartstrings, and you're like, oh, that's so cute, I love it. But anyway, but I don't, after that, after I turn on the TV, I don't think about it. I just think about, what can I do to entertain myself, which is usually twiddling my thumbs. I have, been working on my yarn and knitting, which I'm actually quite proud of. I finished my beanie, which I made a little bit too big. Like I said, I'll start knitting and I'm like, oh, I'm into this, and then I'll make it too big. But anyway, here's my matching scarf, okay? And I'm hoping to get more, you know, into more intricate projects, like, you know, they do the pearl stitch and all this other stuff. And I'm looking at the rhythms, how they're doing it on the videos, and I'm like, yeah, you know, that's cool. That's cool. I'm not quite ready for that yet, mainly because the yarn that I'm using right now is like the very thin type strands. They do have like thicker yarns, but I would probably have to go to like, I don't know, Joann's or some other crafts store to get that. Walmart has a lot of yarn, but they don't have the bigger selections like some of those craft stores do. So right now I'm just, you know, kind of doing the same stitch, but making different colors, maybe different mix match of colors, so I don't have the same thing over and over again, just a different color. I'm kind of making variations of each whatever. But so yeah, so I've been doing that, which is fun. Um, you know, I haven't done any sewing, really deep sewing, in a long time. I know there's a few patterns that I want to work on. Um, you know, this particular thing that I want to make is I want to design my own pattern. I'm not a great pattern designer, okay? And most of the things that I make, when I do make my own pattern, are very basic, okay? I am not a sewer, a person who sews that much, okay? Some people work with all kinds of different materials and have produced like phenomenal things, okay? I make basic things like shirts, certain skirts, things like that, you know, or, you know, things that are very easy, okay? Not so much, some of them are a little complex for an advanced, slightly advanced sewer, but I'm not like, you know, like this, in this position where I'm like, you know, I would say I'm intermediate, okay? So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. I just had to say that. Felt like talking, you know. And so I'm going to end this video, and I'll be back with another one later. Have a good day.